罗伯特是一位勤劳的工人，也是3个孩子的父亲。过去的几十年里，他一直在为家庭奋斗，但最终却死在了自己的儿子手里。案发后，他的儿子科里坚称本案只是意外，警方也相信了这种说法，没有进一步调查。然而，事情并未就此结束。10年后的某天，科里突然改变主意，推翻了原来的说辞。他的出现不仅将本案带到了新的方向，还揭露了一系列令人震惊的过往。那么究竟发生了什么？接下来让我们走进这起案件。大家好，我是大熊。今天分享的案例发生在美国俄亥俄州马克森特，该地区位于俄亥俄州西北部，靠近印第安纳州边界，常住人口大约400人，是迪法恩斯县的一个非建制社区。主人公罗伯特出生于1969年1月11日，他是俄亥俄州本地人，从小生活在迪法恩斯县的乡村。由于家境贫寒，罗伯特很早就懂得了赚钱的重要性，尤其在成为父亲和丈夫以后，为了让妻子温迪和儿子科里过上更好的生活，罗伯特工作十分努力，常常加班到深夜。虽然这确实增加了收入，但也导致他失去了陪伴家人的时间。因此，罗伯特与妻子温迪的夫妻关系并不和谐。每当罗伯特下班回家，不是温迪已经休息，就是罗伯特已经精疲力尽，他们很难有机会单独相处。久而久之，温迪因为难以忍受寂寞，有了不轨行为，最终影响了2人的婚姻。1995年，罗伯特与温迪离婚，并获得了儿子科里的主要监护权。作为一名单身父亲，罗伯特既要外出工作，又要照顾孩子，实在难以应对，所以寻找新的伴侣就成为了他首先需要解决的问题。正是在这种情况下，罗伯特通过母亲介绍认识了第2任妻子朱迪。朱迪比罗伯特年长2岁，同样是独自抚养孩子的离异人士。2人于1998年结婚，并在同一年生下了一个儿子。对于这段婚姻，罗伯特并未改变，依然每天忙于工作。不过好在与上一段婚姻不同，第2任妻子朱迪很享受家庭主妇的角色，不仅从不抱怨罗伯特，还将他与前妻所生的儿子科里照顾得很好。正是通过朱迪的帮助，罗伯特更加了解了儿子科里，也发现了许多之前从未关注的问题。其中比较重要的是，科里平时在家很听话，但只要去母亲温迪家住几天，回家后就会变得躁动不安，不仅经常搞破坏，还会顶撞爷爷奶奶。
What are you doing, Corey? Why? Why did she tell you that?
I don't know.
这段影像拍摄于1998年，也就是科里5岁那年。当时他刚被母亲温迪送回家，接着就开始在家乱丢东西，发泄不满情绪。这种情况出现了很多次，并且每次都是因为温迪引起。所以作为科里的父亲，罗伯特显然不希望儿子受到前妻温迪的影响。于是为了解决这个问题，罗伯特在朱迪的建议下将温迪告上了法庭。由于温迪在婚姻存续期间存在出轨行为，加上录像带等相关证据，最终法官认定温迪不具备抚养孩子的条件，剥夺了她作为母亲的所有权利。自此之后，朱迪取代温迪成为了科里唯一的母亲。事实证明，朱迪的策略确实起到了效果。科里一旦远离了母亲温迪，之前的问题很快迎刃而解，罗伯特一家终于恢复了往日的平静。然而，美好的生活并未持续太久，仅仅5年后，一起离奇的事故发生了。2003年11月3日下午5点左右，当地警局接到科里的求助电话，称他的父亲罗伯特在家意外中枪，情况非常严重，急需警方的帮助。
911. I need help right away. Where are you at? I live at Mark Center. What's the problem there, sweetie? My dad was getting good. What happened, honey? Calm down. Your dad got shot? Yes. he should get shot at.
科里向接线员讲述了事发情况，并表示继母朱迪不在，家中只有他和受伤的父亲。
Okay, are you there by yourself? Yes. What's your mom's name? Judith. Judith. Have you called your mom? No. Okay, we're gonna call her for you, okay?
警方来到现场后，科里立刻从房间冲了出来。年仅10岁的他显得特别无助，不断哀求着快点救救他的父亲。警方检查了罗伯特的情况，但已经无力回天。他死在了卧室的床上，耳朵里塞着一副防噪音耳塞，头部右侧有一处枪伤。尸体旁边放着一本狩猎手册和一顶针织帽，而左侧床边的地上则有一把蹦动式霰弹枪。见到这幅场景，警方感到非常奇怪，因为科里在报案时表示罗伯特遭到了意外枪击，但霰弹枪为何与枪伤不在同一侧？罗伯特又为何佩戴睡觉时才会使用的防噪音耳塞？这些警方并不清楚。于是他们首先询问了报警人科里。根据科里所说，最近他很想学习打猎，于是放学后找到了父亲罗伯特，准备让他传授打猎相关的知识。虽然罗伯特当时正在休息，并且再过1个小时就要去上夜班，时间比较紧张，但看到科里如此感兴趣，他还是答应了。首先，罗伯特让科里拿来狩猎手册，在床上讲解了当地的狩猎法规，然后他又让科里拿来一把霰弹枪，准备再讲解枪支的原理。然而就在两人交接霰弹枪时，科里突然听到砰的一声，接着就被霰弹枪巨大的后坐力震倒在地。当时科里完全不知道发生了什么事情，直到现在他才回忆起罗伯特在接枪时拽了一下枪管，而他的手指恰好又放在了扳机位置，所以这一系列不规范的操作导致了悲剧的发生。警方对科里的说法有些不太确定，因为罗伯特遇害时正戴着防噪音耳塞，这不像是曾与科里有过交流的样子，更像是在睡梦中遭到了枪击。此外，按照科里所说，霰弹枪发生走火后，正常应该掉落在罗伯特受伤的右侧位置，但为何霰弹枪位于左侧，科里没有做出解释。虽然这些疑点只需要再问一下科里就可以得到解决，但负责本案的马克警探有些于心不忍，毕竟科里只是一个10岁的孩子，而且刚刚失去了父亲，他不想再让科里回忆伤心的事情，所以选择了相信他的说法。
I believe this child that there was an accident. I couldn't believe that a 10-year-old could have done anything else but be in an accident.
He was relying almost exclusively on the boy's explanation, the boy's statement. He had a lot of experience, and he basically persuaded the other folks that had some questions about the physical scene.
鉴于马克警探的坚持，本案最终被认定为意外事故，很快做了结案处理。对于这个结果，罗伯特的父母感到非常欣慰。虽然他们失去了唯一的儿子，但事已至此，他们只能希望孙子科里不受影响，早日走出这段痛苦的经历。为此，罗伯特的父母向儿媳朱迪提出了抚养科里的想法。一方面，朱迪独自抚养3个孩子非常辛苦，他们想帮忙分担责任。另一方面，科里从小在他们身边长大，相比另一个孙子，他们更加偏爱科里。然而这个想法却遭到了朱迪的拒绝，他没有给出任何理由，不久后便带着3个孩子搬到了其他城市。接下来的几年里，朱迪中断了与罗伯特父母的所有联系，并且严禁孩子们提起罗伯特。即便后来组建了新的家庭，朱迪也从未向第3任丈夫透露过上一段婚姻的经历，因为本案并非意外事故，而是他策划已久的阴谋。这一切还要从罗伯特刚认识朱迪时开始说起。
The first time I met Judith, I'm 4 years old. My dad said we were going to meet his new girlfriend. My dad actually worked nights at the time, and she had volunteered to watch me instead of me going to the babysitters. So a few days after the first meeting, I was actually dropped off at her house. Once my dad left, it's like a switch was flipped and Judith was an entirely different person. She had a daughter my age, so she had told me to go upstairs and play with her daughter. Judith had said the closet in her daughter's bedroom was off limits and that I was not allowed to go into it. We began playing, and Judith's daughter simply said, hey, get in the closet. And as soon as I do, she yells for her mom, who comes upstairs, and Judith is very unhappy with me. She grabbed me by the arm and then proceeded to spank me. A spanking from Judith usually involved a belt or anything she could get her hands on. I was scared, really confused. It hurt a lot. After the spanking, I'm not allowed to talk, I'm not allowed to eat, and I'm not allowed to play with anything. I just have to sit there and be quiet. Before my dad got home, Judith pulled me from the corner and told me I wasn't to tell him anything and that I had fun so I could come back the next day. I wanted to tell my dad what she had done to me, but I guess something in me wanted to please her. I'm not really sure why. It's still not something I can explain or put my finger on, but for whatever reason, I just felt I needed to do whatever she said. So I followed her instructions, and when my dad got there, I told her it was fun and I was happy. My dad, shortly thereafter, moved in with Judith. After that day, there wasn't any more private settings between me and my father. That was just the first step of control and manipulation.
朱迪在与罗伯特恋爱期间就对科里实施了暴力行为，表面上科里是因为犯了错误才遭到了朱迪的惩罚，但实际上这只是阴谋的第一步。朱迪的真正目的是想通过控制科里，首先树立好母亲的形象，加速与罗伯特结婚，然后再利用科里实现杀死罗伯特骗取保险的计划。正是在这种情况下，年幼的科里开始了地狱般的生活。
My dad worked nights and days, and he always seemed to alternate. When my dad's around, Judith is nice to me, allows me to be a kid. But I knew, as soon as my dad left, my night or day was about to become hell. Her daughter was allowed to do whatever she wanted, but I didn't have to do anything wrong. I was still being spanked every day. Sometimes she would choke me. I wasn't allowed to make noise or cry or try and stop her. If I did, I got it worse. I wanted to tell my dad about everything, but I was too afraid to. I knew what Judith would do. And there was never an opportunity to say anything to him. He was usually back at work before I got up. When my dad is home on the weekends, I am with my grandparents, so there's still no contact. The only thing I can do is try and not make her mad and do as she wants me to.
在与罗伯特结婚后，朱迪为了顺利完成计划，做了很多铺垫工作。第一步就是将科里打造成不听话的孩子，例如他经常要求科里顶撞父亲和爷爷奶奶，还会让科里在家乱丢东西。这样做的目的主要有2个方面，一是为了降低科里在父亲和爷爷奶奶心中的好感，这样即使科里告诉任何人自己遭到了虐待，朱迪都可以假装科里是为了逃避管教故意撒谎，从而为自己的控制行为加上一层保险。另一方面，主要是朱迪想要获得科里的抚养权，因为当时罗伯特的前妻温迪在法律上仍是科里的母亲，所以一旦罗伯特死去，温迪很可能会拿走科里分到的部分赔偿款，这是朱迪绝对不能接受的事情。因此科里越不听话，对朱迪就越有利。这样一来，朱迪就可以将责任归咎于温迪的教唆，然后再借助罗伯特的干预，实现拿到抚养权的目的。这些准备工作结束后，差不多已经过去了几年时间，接下来就到了最关键的一步，也就是说服科里实施犯罪。
One day, I'm 10 years old. Judith pulled me aside and told me she had some news for me and proceeded to tell me that my dad was dying of brain cancer. She had said it was terminal and that it was inoperable. I was kind of devastated. My dad had seemed fine. I don't think he was sick or anything. I had wondered why he wasn't telling me, but Judith had said my dad didn't want me to know that he had cancer. But she has a plan that they've come up with to make sure that the family is okay. She said the plan was that I was supposed to accidentally shoot him and kill him so that the family could get the life insurance. She says I'm supposed to pull the trigger and shoot him and then claim it's an accident.
朱迪说服科里的策略看似简单，但非常高明。首先，他假装罗伯特已经时日无多，患上了不治之症，然后又站在罗伯特的角度，假定他甘愿为家庭做出牺牲，以此合理化自己的谋杀计划。最后就是向科里许诺经济上的美好愿景，例如可以过上比现在更好的生活，还有将来会送给他房子和汽车。正是在朱迪的强大洗脑攻势下，科里最终实施了犯罪。然而一旦目的达成，朱迪立马改变了态度，因为他根本没打算兑现承诺，只是将科里当作利用的工具。所以为了防止科里揭露真相，朱迪在案发后不久举家搬到了其他城市。在接下来的几年里，科里一直生活在内疚和恐惧中，但从未对外透露过谋杀的事情。一方面他真的很害怕朱迪，这种害怕是从小建立而来，即便长大后也很难完全消除。另一方面，科里也担心受到惩罚，毕竟他才是开枪的人，自认为罪行要比朱迪更严重。所以这些原因导致真相被埋没了10年之久。直到2012年，也就是科里高中即将毕业那年，一次机缘巧合下，老师与科里谈起了人生中的遗憾。这个话题让他对父亲的愧疚感瞬间达到顶点。最终在老师的鼓励和引导下，科里讲述了事发的全部经过，并选择了投案自首。
I told them that Judith forced me to shoot and kill him. I told them everything. How Judith told me to set things up, how to dial 911, and what to tell the cops when they got there. When they were done with their questions, I asked them when I'd be going to jail. They told me I wasn't going to jail, that it wasn't my fault. It was a shock. I had prepared myself that I was going, and I was in disbelief that I wasn't. It was the best I'd felt in a long time, but the goal was to collect enough evidence to make an arrest on her.
警方了解完相关情况后，并未逮捕科里，因为他在案发那年只有10岁，并且受到了朱迪的胁迫，所以朱迪才是警方的关注重点。科里只需要配合警方成为证人，无需承担任何责任。在接下来的调查中，警方确定了朱迪的经济犯罪动机和虐待科里的事实。其中经济动机主要是罗伯特的退休基金和保险赔偿款，这些钱总计约100万美元，并且大部分都用在了朱迪的个人消费上。此外，科里的同学和朱迪的第一任丈夫也都作证说，他们曾看到过朱迪虐待科里。基于这些间接证据，警方以谋杀罪和虐待罪逮捕了朱迪。2013年11月8日，案发10年后，本案进入审判阶段。虽然检方没有直接证据，并且朱迪也没有承认罪行，但是科里的证词发挥了重要作用。不到2个小时，陪审团很快达成一致，朱迪多项罪名成立，被判处终身监禁，不得假释。然而，这一判定结果后来又被最高院推翻，原因是第一次审判时缺少了必要的直接证据，所以朱迪获得了再次审判的机会。最终他仅被判处过失杀人罪和轻微虐待罪，获刑10年监禁。好了，本期案件分享到这里也就结束了。如果你喜欢我的节目，请帮我点赞加关注，非常感谢大家的支持。我是大熊，下期见。